How do you make the perfect YouTube thumbnail? Having a great YouTube thumbnail that pairs well with your title of your video is crucial to increasing your views on your video. But what really goes into making the perfect YouTube thumbnail for your video? Having a little clickbait imagery, having the best concept idea or design skills, having the perfect YouTuber face? Well, truthfully, all of those play some factor in one way or another, especially that YouTuber face thing. Woo! In today's video, I give you my proven strategies for YouTube thumbnails that have helped dramatically increase the views on my channel. Hey, what's going on? My name is Max, and welcome back to another video. If this is your first time on my channel and you want to learn how to make awesome and successful YouTube content, make sure you subscribe right now so that way you don't miss any content. The first step to creating the perfect YouTube thumbnail is to create your thumbnails and your video titles prior to you filming the video. Basically, you have to think about this like a movie production. Do you think that Marvel Studios goes in and starts filming a movie prior to figuring out what the title of the movie is going to be? Or getting some concept arts put together, some things that may work for the movie poster, getting the rough draft for the script? There's a lot of things that go into planning a movie prior to actually filming it. The idea is that your thumbnail is like your movie poster for your video, and then what your title is doing is enhancing what the thumbnail is trying to portray. The key thing is that there's some synergy between your title and your thumbnail. When you look at the title and thumbnail for this video, the thumbnail says 10 times more views, and what it has is some imagery of a graph with views increasing, and then the title is how to make a YouTube thumbnail that gets more views. 10 times more views makes you stop and wonder what that means, and then the title enhances it by telling you what the video is going to be about. This leads us nicely into the next thing, and that's creating curiosity as well as a sense of urgency to click on that thumbnail. We've all seen it, that Mr. Beast thumbnail where he's giving the kid a credit card, or the one where he's in a pile of roses with his girlfriend, or even the one where he's doing this weird Mission Impossible scene. The point is that his thumbnails always make you stop and become curious as to what's going on, and then you read the title, and then the majority of the time it's always something ridiculous, and then you end up clicking on the video. Another good example is creator JLK, and he's arguably one of the best storytelling video game channels I've ever watched. Going back to the movie poster analogy, if you look at all of his thumbnails, they look exactly like a movie poster, and then his videos are always titled like some epic movie you're about to watch. Even though I don't really play DayZ, I'm really drawn into his videos every time I see one of them pop up because the thumbnail tells a great story, the title is awesome, and then usually the video is always filled with some great adventure that I want to watch. This next one is super important, and while you're doing all the planning and figuring out what you want to do for your thumbnail and title, you need to make sure that whatever you do, that you're fulfilling the promise of your title and thumbnail in your video. Let me paint a picture for you. You decide you want to create a video talking about an app like, let's say, Touch Portal, and the thumbnail and title both say that this is going to be a Touch Portal review. But in the first 5 minutes, you're talking about some OBS plugins, some custom transition video you made, and then also you're doing some terrible skit. Even though, yes, I did talk about Touch Portal eventually in the video, the one mistake I did was when I titled and created the thumbnail for this video, what I said was that this was a Touch Portal review. I didn't say that this was a custom transition review where we use Touch Portal. See, what I could have done instead is I could have done how to do a custom transition using Touch Portal. Maybe had my thumbnail with a Touch Portal logo, my face, maybe a look at what the transition looks like, maybe an OBS logo. I could have done anything but what I did for the initial title and thumbnail. The fourth thing I have for you is that when you figure out a thumbnail style for your video, make sure you stay consistent with that thumbnail style. This is obviously a lot easier said than done, but the one thing you want to do is just keep trying different thumbnail styles, and then once something actually starts getting clicked on more often, just start repeating that same thumbnail style. You can clearly see this in the evolution of my thumbnails from when I started making videos to where they are now. The things that I've noticed worked really well for my channel is, first of all, I have my picture in almost every thumbnail. I mean, because why wouldn't you want to see this face, right? Moving on. I limited my text to only 3 words to describe my video. I added imagery to demonstrate some sort of change in the numbers or something along those lines. And finally, I have some add-ons like some imagery like logos or things like that. Or I add some sun rays effects or maybe some geometry to the back of my thumbnails, just anything to enhance the background to make it not so flat and unappealing. A really good example of thumbnail consistency is a channel called Game Ranks and their Before You Buy series. When I see that picture of some guy holding his hands up, and then what they do is they take a character from the game and put their head on that guy, like Lady D from Resident Evil 8, that weird guy from Days Gone, or even a portal gun, for example. And then I see that gray Fungus 1 font saying Before You Buy with that off-white background. I know I'm about to get ready to watch a Game Ranks video. So the fifth thing you need to do is you need to make sure that you're picking the right editing software. I mean, do you really need Photoshop, or do you need Affinity Photo, or do you need Adobe Illustrator? Yeah, you do. What do you think? I was gonna say no, I use Affinity Photo all the time. Nah, seriously, you don't need fancy software to make YouTube thumbnails, but the one thing you want is you want to use a piece of software that allows you to get consistency when making your YouTube thumbnail. I do enjoy using Affinity Photo because I can do some things with my thumbnails that I can't do with free software, or basically free software. But the one thing I will say is that the one website that I used a lot when I was making my initial YouTube thumbnails was a website called Snappa. I tell people who are struggling to make thumbnails to use Snappa all the time because it's a great website that has a ton of preset options for you to be flexibility to use, as well as the editor has a ton of different features that are really helpful, such as this background knockout that actually knocks out the background of any image you want within seconds. If you want to learn more about Snappa or Affinity Photo, I have some videos on screen right now that are going to give you an overview of how to use these tools. Anyways guys, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.